Work week weather forecast is upon us, and it's that time of the show right here on the Hotspot where we bring in my buddy Landon Aydlett from the National Weather Service. He is the lead forecaster, and he is the man with the plan when he's breaking down, not only showing us what Mother Nature has in store for us, but also what it means and what we can expect. And we are very much in his debt for doing that. So, Landon, good morning and good to see you.
Good morning, Jason, and good morning, Guam. How is everybody doing after the long weekend?
It was one really long night, but it's a fantastic experience. I'm glad it only happens like every 2 years, but I mean it was a lot of fun over here.
Oh, that's good. And it looked like the weather cooperated for the most part over the weekend, so that was good news indeed, especially after the showers and thunderstorms that we had rumbling through the area on Friday and much of last week. So that was definitely good news for folks out and voting.
Absolutely, good weather to go out, and I mean it's not just running into a polling station and casting your ballot here on Guam. I mean there are the barbecues, there's the music, there's the social atmospheres, and I mean it's a one big party. Because so many people out here, they just love the voting experience like so much, and the weather certainly played in our favor for that. So we appreciate you giving us a heads up for that. I had my umbrella with me, as per your advice.
Yes, always keep it handy. And I will say, when it comes to voting on Guam, it's very much like a family environment. It's a fiesta atmosphere. All the tents and canopies set up, and people are just overall having a good time. And that's one thing that I really like about voting and elections on Guam. There's a lot of conflict and sometimes hard feelings, but it's keep it light, keep it fun, keep it family oriented, and let's have a blast and do our best to make Guam the best it can be.
Sure. And now, Landon, I know I was telling you during the break that we actually had Nick Delgado was actually out in your neck of the woods. He was probably like 50 feet away from where your office is, talking about the whole Artemis launch. And he was talking with one of your colleagues, Mike Ziobro, who I've not interviewed in some time, but Mike's a fantastic interview. I'm not a space guy, to be completely honest with you. Like between the Artemis rocket launching and Game of Thrones, I'm definitely like in the latter crowd and everything, so I'm not going to see it. But what I am interested in is there is something that you guys send. I mean, those balloons that you guys do. Is it only during times of like post storm that you guys actually launch that? And is that necessarily going into space? How high up do you guys actually send those?
Yeah, it gets right up to the top of the troposphere. So right about the tropopause, that's where the balloon expands enough that it eventually disintegrates, and then it comes crashing back down to Earth, of course, with a parachute. So the little box of weather data, that's all coming down with a parachute back to the Earth. Somewhere in the ocean, sometimes it falls over land. So if you see a bright orange piece of plastic attached to a string, it's probably one of our sensors. But we launch those balloons twice a day, every day of the year, because that information that comes from the weather balloon, it's like a snapshot of what's going on in the atmosphere above the surface. So we have a lot of surface-based observations here every hour or more frequently as needed. But when it comes to the atmospheric snapshot, we only get those twice a day from the weather balloons. But we do double the amount of weather balloons if we have a tropical cyclone within 300 miles of our office, because we want more information. The more information we have, the more information goes into the numerical weather models and give us a better forecast for what's to come.
Okay, what kind of sensors are on that balloon? Because obviously, I mean, they should be able to pick up, like I guess barometric pressure and wind speed and stuff like that. But what kind of data specifically do you guys extract from that?
Yeah, we're definitely looking at the temperature, the dew point, the humidity. It's GPS tracked, so we can monitor where it's going as it goes up in elevation. So we track also the wind speed and direction. So all that information comes to the weather model. Again, basic observational information. We can track that. It also shows us where the wind shear is. And basically wind shear is a difference with wind speed and direction with height. And so we want to know that, especially with the airport, which is right behind outside my window. We want to know what are the winds doing as you go up in altitude, because the aircraft want to know that when they're coming in and taking off. So if there's a major change in wind speed and direction with very little height, the pilots want to know that.
Oh, very cool. Landon, there's something I wanted to talk with you and your brother about last week, but unfortunately we ran out of time. Is Brandon back from Pittsburgh, by the way?
He is back, and he's down the hall from me right now. It's the first time we've been in the building together in almost 3 months.
Nice. And seeing as how you guys are identical twins and everything like that, I'm sure that's pretty rough, because I mean you guys have spent your entire lives together.
Yeah, we've been together since before birth, so
Again,
But
that kind of science isn't something I'm into, but I know there's something about the zygote separating and everything like that. Like, men smarter than me figured that out.
yeah, it is good to have him back in the office. So again, we greeted each other. He came by my house and said, "What's up?" And so it's nice to have my science officer back in the building, and we
Exactly.
can divide and conquer.
Well, there is one thing I wanted to ask you, and I appreciate the fact that you brought up how he is the science officer, right? Because both of you take a very, scientific. You've got to have that side to do what you do, right? But you're also very analytical, right? How far
Yeah,
do you think we are from having tools like Google Earth, right? And you get these amazing satellite pictures of the Earth that Google goes around and they send teams of thousands of people that dispatch like on foot to update that imagery. And I think the imagery at its best is maybe about 2 months current from what we're actually seeing now. How far are we actually from your tools, maybe providing like actual real time video feeds of what we're seeing on Earth? Because I know you show us like a lot of these really cool charts, but basically they're satellite loops. How far
yeah.
are you from actually getting a live camera shot?
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't even be able to venture an answer, but it's not that far away. The tools and capabilities that we've had just in my last 10 years since I came to Guam have far exceeded and advanced the science of weather forecasting significantly. Just the amount of satellite data, and I'm going to turn my camera around so you can see what we're some of the stuff that we're looking at. We used to
What
get
a
these
perfect segue.
satellite frames. Yeah, we used to get these satellite frames once every half hour.
Oh,
that
that's how
was
good.
in
Wow, that's actually pretty
the
fast.
modern era. So now we get these frames every 7 to 10 minutes. And this is from the Japanese Himawari geostationary satellite. So it gives us so much information from that fixed point over the equator in orbit and just rotates it, giving us that continuous snapshot animated loop of what's out there. And so you can actually see, it looks like the clouds are bubbling. And I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead of myself here and talk to this tropical storm. But you notice, you can see the dynamics of the clouds. See, it looks like boiling water. We didn't see that just 10 years ago because the frames are so infrequent. And so it was a lot more pixelated and it jumped a lot more. But here we have so much more of a fluid animated loop of what's out there. And so just satellite technology alone has significantly improved decade by decade. And you think back to Chip Guard's days, he was using chalkboards and I don't know what they used back. Abacus, is that what they used to count? Chip was really old, so.
Well, yeah. Well, one of our coworkers here, like Mike, he still does math with the abacus, and so that's what he does. No, okay. Now, joking aside, though, you were talking about the fact that these satellites that you're getting the data from, those are geostationary, right? I believe those
That's
are
correct.
13 miles up. I think, right? Correct me if I'm
they
wrong.
They are way up. I think it's like 23,000, something way up there.
Okay. Now, again, getting back to the weather balloons, though, when you said it's at the edge of the troposphere, how high from Earth is that?
Yeah, roughly about 100,000 feet. So it's about as far as from WFO Guam here in Central Guam all the way up to Anderson Air Force Base, if it's standing up vertically.
Oh, so that's maybe, let's just round it off and say maybe about 10 miles?
Yeah, right about. So it's really not that far up, but it gives us a good shot of what's going on in the troposphere or the tropopause.
Wow.
And that's where most of our weather takes place.
What is going on in the troposphere? What can you tell us about what we're looking at this week?
Well, definitely, it's a mixed bag of seasonably moist weather ahead of us this week. So we have this disturbance that's approaching us from the east. All of these showers and thunderstorms are coming in from the east. But like most bad relationships, it's starting to break up. So you notice there's a lot of dissipation right here. Woo! And it's falling apart. So we're getting we're getting a lot of clouds. If you look outside, you get a lot of mid and upper level, what we call debris cloud. And this is just from the decaying convection as it's on approach. We got a little bit of an outflow, that little leading line right there. So that could probably be accompanied with a light wind gust, but nothing to write home about. But farther out, we have more showers and thunderstorms to the east. But again, they're starting to dissipate. They're weakening on approach. But then farther out, we do have more weather. And I'm going to open up our wider view with the visible satellite imagery. We have this one little disturbance pushing through here. We have another disturbance here and a larger one up here. This is part of the south side of an upper level low. That's going to keep to our north as it tracks westward. But we could see showers and thunderstorms as this disturbed weather at the surface does approach us late Tuesday into Wednesday. That looks like our wettest chance of showers as this upper low tracks that way. This is our tropical storm up here to the north. That's Tropical Storm Hinamnor, and that's a name originating from Lao PDR with the Typhoon Committee. So Hinamnor, that is no threat to us, tropical storm. And that is tracking westward, but we are watching that. I'm going to go over to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. We are not issuing formal bulletins and information from the National Weather Service as it remains just outside of our air responsibility, which stops at 25 degrees north latitude. This is right about 27 degrees north latitude, so just out of range for WFO Guam, which is fine with us. But this is the current track right there. This is a Tropical Storm Hinamnor's track. Going to be going toward the vicinity of Okinawa, which is right over here, possibly as a Category 3 typhoon. So we are watching that, especially if you have military interest in Okinawa. They will be watching this closely, especially with the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. As this thing slowly tracks westward, we could see a drop in forward motion, which would not be good news for Okinawa if it's lingering in their area for a couple of days. There is another disturbance, of course, no threat to Guam, but another disturbance to its southwest could interact with its track, which would indicate that slower motion right about here as it goes toward Okinawa. So we are watching that. For now, the tropical weather activity is well to our north, and we have no suspect areas for development of tropical weather for Guam, the CNMI, or any of Micronesia at the time. So that is definitely good
Thank you,
news for us.
Santa Maria and Camelin.
Yes, out in the waters, you notice the winds are pretty light out there. We're not going to see much change over the next couple of days. This is the EPAN buoy showing the wave forecast in the coming days. We see that jump right there. That's about a half foot, so don't be alarmed by that. But we're going to see combined seas of 2 to 3 feet, building by about a foot by the weekends. But a low risk of rip currents out there on the waters. But be careful, keep an eye to the sky, because there is a slight risk of lightning all the way throughout the week with periods of scattered showers, a little mix of clouds, sun, and off and on showers, as is typical with this time of the year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, real quick question for you, Landon, because I like how you ended like with that lightning thing, because I've been dying to, bad choice of words, but I really wanted to ask you about lightning, right? And I remember when I was a kid, when lightning rods like were introduced. I mean, this was a huge, very, very low tech, and at the same time, very, very high effectiveness, right? Do tall buildings, and like out here, I think our tallest building on Guam is the Westin, if I'm not mistaken, it's 31 stories. But
yeah,
can you still actually
one of the
mount
tallest.
lightning? Huh?
Yeah, it's one of the tallest, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it still advisable to actually mount lightning rods on tall buildings, or even like normal like structures like here at the KUM studios? You've been in here, like we're a 1-story building, but do companies still do that?
Yeah, many companies still do that, and I'm not too keen on the science of lightning rods, but I see a lot of buildings still with lightning rods attached to the structures, especially parking garages, new parking garages. They want to attract that lightning strike and then direct that energy to the ground for grounding. And that's
exactly.
just
yeah, I always
rule of thumb.
Then rather than play with like the very random nature of lightning, where it could strike anywhere, right? Say, why don't we draw it to a place that we can control, and then, like you said, direct that energy into the ground where it's safer.
Yeah, and I will say I was in my parents' condo tower in Daytona Beach. I think it was August 2021 when I was last visiting home, and they had a severe thunderstorm and a lot of lightning. Florida is the lightning capital of the world. Lightning struck their condo tower, which is about 20-some stories tall. They were on the 6th or 7th floor, and it shook the whole building apparently. But that lightning bolt fried the electronics and systems down on the ground floor. And took chunks of concrete out of the rooftop. So watch out. Lightning can be hazardous, especially even if you're inside. So that people say, don't be talking on a landline telephone. Don't be taking a shower at the time, because it can sometimes travel through water pipes. And again, don't be outside.
The thing about the shower. I've heard the thing about the phone, but I had no idea about the shower thing.
Yeah, it can travel through the water pipes, landlines. So watch out. Just stay away from windows. When you hear thunder, that's your sign. When thunder roars, get indoors.
Absolutely. That is a little limerick that we here at KUM, we really take to heart, because of you and your brother, and you guys have really ingrained that into us, and we appreciate it. Yeah. No, I remember, like, I think in the mid and late 80s, the whole concept of a lightning rod was like this huge. I mean, maybe it was just clever marketing, but everybody talked about that, and everybody was like, okay, we have to put this on because it's going to keep us safer. Apparently, those days are over.
It still helps. We still have them on buildings all around today. So keep that in mind. If you need a lightning rod, just talk to the experts. I am not a lightning rod expert, so don't talk to me about it.
And I guess because, we live in a different time now. People put, like they have cable satellites on top of their houses. You've got all sorts of, you've got telecom repeaters or, internet signal boosters and like things like that. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, you've got a lot of electronics in places. So maybe that kind of thing just isn't that popular anymore. But I remember when that was a big deal.
Yeah, and also another thing that mentioned, we're talking about planning and looking ahead. September is National Preparedness Month. And so I know you mentioned you talked to Jenna earlier today. I don't know if this was about September plans, but let me turn my camera around again to the webpage. This is the ready.gov/September. So all about National Preparedness Month. Go out there again, ready.gov/September. And it's all about preparedness. Make a plan, disasters and emergencies, get involved, how to volunteer, and other resources for protecting yourself, your family, and your business for all sorts of hazards. And so that's going to be coming up in September. Guam Homeland Security, the National Weather Service, we are all participating in a lot of events, including the governor's proclamation signing this Friday for National Preparedness Month. So check out the Guam Homeland Security Facebook page, their webpage for more information on overall tips and preparedness for all sorts of hazards, including typhoons. And again, we get more hazards than just typhoons, so you need to always be prepared.
And Jen and I were talking about that. There's cybersecurity, there's earthquakes, there's tsunamis, and all sorts of stuff like that. And I mean, it can make you like a little bit nervous, especially the more you get into it. But the peace of mind that you'll actually be able to extract from that is off the charts. I mean, if you do a little bit of data gathering, a little bit of preparation, and like a lifetime of confidence in yourself.
That's exactly it. You can never be too ready.
Okay, so real quick before I let you go, can you give us like Landon's pro tip? And you talk about this all the time, but when you have a home disaster kit, right? When the weather is expected to get really, really unfavorable, I mean, we may be looking at not just the day of an actual storm, but days and days of prolonged high winds, high surf, really, really wet conditions and everything like that. What do you have in your own home disaster kit so that we might be able to copy what the pros do?
Okay, first off, if you use any medications regularly, get a lot of those, stock up on those, like allergy, headache medications, cold and flu, especially in the time of COVID. But also have a tank of gas or maybe a couple tanks of gas, because if something happens to our gas and fuel supply on the island, or the gas pumps are registered useless, or you don't have power, you can have gas on standby to get your car to and from places. Also cash, always have cash available, because the credit cards may not be able to swipe, and the ATMs may not work as well. So cash, keep it handy, always keep it, where we have earthquakes in the area. You can't forecast or foresee earthquakes happening. So always keep a couple $100s of cash on standby at any given time in case something happens in a day that you're not expecting it. But toilet paper, think back to back in 2020 when COVID was spinning up and people were running out of toilet paper, diapers, baby formula. I think the last 2 years will give you a great prelude of future disasters to come, what to prepare with and how to prepare for it. So think about those things: cash, gas, toilet paper, paper towels, sanitation type materials, but also non-perishable foods, canned foods, a can opener, one of the twist ones, not an electric one. And then also, if you're like in snorkeling, a slingshot spear, because sometimes if it's a long, prolonged disaster, what's your food source? Also,
you're going primal back there. I guess
I'm going primitive.
Things get bad, and we have to revert to our very primal prehistoric nature.
Yeah, a gas-powered grill, charcoal grill. This is stuff that my brother and I stocked up on when we first came to Guam. We're on a small island in the middle of the Pacific. Oh my gosh, something's going to happen. So we had all kinds of stuff prepped in our house with propane tanks and all kinds of good stuff.
Yep. Smart man. I should say
plan.
Smart man, and none of us have ever had that in dispute. So, Landon, man, thank you again for another fantastic appearance. We are forever in your debt for how much smarter and how much wiser you have made us on the show.
We're trying. It's all about safety and preparedness.
And one of these days, you and I are going to collab. You, me, and your brother. We're going to build one of those like geostationary satellites, and we're going to have like a live video feed of what the weather is in real time. I'll write the code for you. We'll figure it out.
Maybe we'll do it with Lincoln logs.
I was gonna say you guys went basically. You guys were as high as the Gannett Shopping Center. Next time we'll hit the toposphere. How about that?
Hey, we might have a project in the works. More on that to come soon.
Okay. Preview of coming attractions. So I like that. I mean,
Possibly, yes.
Have a great time. And we'll talk to you definitely when National Preparedness Month starts.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason.
All right, buddy. We appreciate it, man.
And from the National Weather Service, we will be back with more fun on the show right after.